Patricia Goel for LA This Week.
This year marks a decade since airport officer Tommy Scott's death. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti has signed the $8.6 billion city budget for 2015-2016, calling it the result of an unprecedented collaboration between the city council and the mayor's office. The council adopted the budget last week after adding roughly $11 million in public safety funding to the mayor's original proposal. Gil Reyes has the details.
As you can see, the sidewalk is full of bumps and cracks.
Silver Lake resident Vanessa Bell says she has to be extra careful when using the sidewalk.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If you don't watch where you're going, you can trip over these. And if you want to have like a skateboard or a stroller or something, you're in trouble because you can't roll anything across these bumps.
But repairs could soon be arriving, with millions of dollars set aside for sidewalk repairs and millions more reserved for tree trimming in the newly approved city budget. Joe Skyward looks forward to the trimming of overgrown tree branches, which he says distracts drivers.
I go through Koreatown almost every day. It's really bad over in Koreatown. You don't even, there's stop signs that if I didn't know they were there, or people didn't know they were there, they could easily drive right through them.
The city's new budget reserves $8.6 billion in spending over the next fiscal year. Roughly $70 million will pay for police overtime, while roughly $4.5 million will purchase some 7,000 on-body cameras for LAPD officers in hopes of enhancing police accountability. Over at the LA City Fire Department, there's money to hire 270 new firefighters after years of hiring freezes. There's also cash to upgrade technology and aging equipment.
Relatively modest revisions in the mayor's budget. I think this has been a good collaborative team effort between the mayor and the council, and as a result we have the best budget that we've had in many years.
A budget for the new fiscal year, which begins on July 1st. Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
As mentioned, part of the budget plan reserves millions of dollars for sidewalk repairs. Gil Reyes reports on how a class action lawsuit filed against the city has boosted that effort.
A landmark settlement could mean repairs for thousands of miles of broken sidewalks.
They've got a lot of stuff to do if they're going to replace all the stuff like this. This is really common, actually. So up and down this boulevard.
Mark Wagers says navigating through tricky sidewalks in Silver Lake can be difficult enough for your average pedestrian, but it's even tougher for moms with strollers and even worse for the disabled. In April, the city settled a class action lawsuit filed on behalf of disabled residents. They claimed the rights to safe sidewalks were violated under the Americans with Disabilities Act. That settlement reserves $1.4 billion for sidewalk repairs citywide over the next 30 years. Now, city leaders say they know the general area where these sidewalk repairs are needed, such as this one on Silver Lake Boulevard, but community input is needed to determine if they missed any spots and also if new ones have popped up.
We know that there's more out there, and we need everyone's input to get information on, and as far as the responsibility of who's responsible for paying for the sidewalk.
City Councilman and Public Works Chairman Joe Buscaino is referring to the possibility of having commercial property owners pay for repairs next to their land. That includes owners of apartment complexes, shopping centers, and office buildings. City leaders had scheduled a public meeting for Monday, June 1st at City Hall to discuss the matter. In case you missed it, several more meetings are expected to take place throughout the month. In the meantime, Mark Wagers won't stop walking.
I just concentrate a lot on trying to make sure I don't stumble and fall over. I have fallen over, though.
In Silver Lake, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Under the settlement, the city must reserve $31 million per year over the next 3 decades to repair broken sidewalks. Well, it's part of LA Port's officials' plan to keep expanding the port in earth-friendly ways. An environmental summit, the second this year, focused on water quality. Anna Marcos has the details. Anna.
Yana, the good news is water quality at the port has improved over the last 40 years. The aim of the environmental summit was to provide a snapshot of the state of water health here at the port and to ask for input from residents and industry operators. Port officials say water quality at the port is better than ever.
25 years ago, you wouldn't go in the water and you didn't see any sea lions, you didn't see any you didn't see anything that was produced in the ocean. Today you'll see starfish. Today you'll see all the different sea life that's out there. You just take a boat cruise. The water has been significantly improved, but we still got a long way to go.
Water quality, a top concern at this summit. The Port of LA has been working hand in hand with the Port of Long Beach to create a more sustainable port. The electrification of port terminals, the use of zero-emissions vehicles, and constant monitoring of water and air quality have gone a long way in cleaning up the environment, as has working with industry operators to create more efficient shipping.
The less touches to a container, the less emissions that go in the air, the less opportunity for pollution in our waters.
One of the challenges with water quality at the port is the source of pollution often isn't in the water itself, but in the sediment and other sources of pollution.
In our case, our water's clean, but the sediment, which has been around forever, the port is over 100 years old, the sediment does have contaminants in it. And so those sediments could potentially affect water quality. And so we've got some hot spots.
Port officials are working to clean up the hot spots. At Cabrillo Beach, there are bird barriers to cut down on bird droppings, and the beach has been resanded. In other areas, the fish are getting transponders to track their movements and where they eat to help figure out where the contamination spots are.
Somebody goes out and catches a white croaker in the harbor. That white croaker has a load of bioaccumulated contaminants. So then the fisherman eats the fish, and that load is going right up the food chain. So the bottom line here on this TMDL is human health.
I like what you've done, but is there some way to re-engage the community?
Officials plan to make these summits a quarterly event as they continue to work with the community to make the port more earth-friendly. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Anna, thanks. The first environmental summit took place in January and focused on air quality. A victory for striking truck drivers at the Port of LA. As Gil Reyes reports, they've landed jobs at a new company that promises full-time perks.
What a difference a week makes. Days earlier, some of these port truck drivers had marched the picket lines, demanding full-time pay and benefits. Today, their wish has come true. They now have become employees of a new company called EcoFlow Transportation with its fleet of electric trucks.
EcoFlow is working, as you can see, these clean energy trucks, and also at the same time, they're giving us the opportunity to organize and become a union along with the Teamsters.
You good? LA Mayor Eric Garcetti helped negotiate the Port Solutions Agreement. Under the deal, EcoFlow has offered staff positions to 35 former freelancers from the company Total Transportation. That company was accused of misclassifying drivers as independent contractors to avoid fully paying them. Total Transportation denies this. Regardless, the new company EcoFlow will use only employee drivers, no independent contractors under the deal, and will also remain neutral should drivers consider unionizing.
It's bad for business for us to not have labor peace, whether it's dock workers or whether it's drivers. I want to make sure we have companies that are treating their employees well, and vice versa. I want to make sure that there's employees that are working and can work. So by creating this, it's a different model forward where we don't have to see ongoing pickets, where we don't have to see ongoing protests, where we don't have to see work slowdowns.
The mayor says he's negotiating with other trucking firms to reach similar deals. Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
EcoFlow began operations in April. It currently has about 80 employee drivers. Well, LA is on the way to a bigger and better convention center as city officials gear up to give it a major makeover. Once again, we turn to Anna Marcos.
The LA Convention Center is about to take a leap into the future, all in an effort to make it a more productive economic engine for LA.
One of the first things we found that our convention center was too small, that Chicago's over 3 million feet and Las Vegas is over 2 million feet, and we're down at 870,000 feet. So we are just a fraction of the size of the big players, and we're the second largest city in America.
City leaders have called on architectural firms to design a bigger, better facility for under $350 million, and they now have the top 3 designs. The requirements: at least 1 million square feet of convention space, room for a hotel, and a design that's under budget. Officials estimate LA needs 8,000 hotel rooms to compete for convention dollars. It now has about 3,000.
It's literally hundreds of millions of dollars of lost business. San Diego would have 75 citywide conventions every year. We have 22 conventions every year.
All three plans include room for a hotel on the north end of the convention center. But this plan here would call for gutting the entire West Exhibit Hall, adding more rooms and a ballroom on top. This plan would build extra meeting rooms mainly along the Pico corridor and the front of the convention center. And this plan would build up space in both the west and south halls. It would build a ballroom and an entire front facade.
We're reaching out to the actual clients, the auto show, E3, some of our biggest conventions, to see what they think of it, and then some of the shows that we don't have.
City leaders have asked for public input on the designs at a meeting on June 2nd from 6 to 8 p.m. in room 403 at the LA Convention Center. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
And there's also plenty of changes taking place at LAX as airport officials usher in a new era of efficiency and sustainability. The loud humming of these huge machines fills the air inside the chiller room at LAX's new utility plant, providing air conditioning to all passenger terminals. And without getting too technical,
these are chiller units, which are basically compressors. They compress refrigerant, which cools the water through a series of copper coils.
The chiller room is part of the airport's new energy-efficient central utility plant, providing heating and cooling to the entire airport. The $423 million project, which took 4 years to complete, replaces the 50-year-old plant and is considered to be the first of its kind.
This is going to be the first sustainable utility plant. It's going to reduce our carbon footprint. It was done in a green and environmentally friendly way, and it just showcases the kind of leadership we have here at LAWA, making LA one of the greenest and best cities in the country.
City and airport officials gathered for a grand opening ceremony. The new facility, which generates its own electricity, is 25% more energy efficient than the original plant. This translates into an estimated savings of $7 million in gas and electrical costs. Now check out this original control panel that they've used since the 1960s. Now it features switches, buttons, and these steam gauges. All of this now being run from the high-tech new control room. The state-of-the-art control room features large screen monitors and the latest technology, replacing these original dials and meters. So what does all this mean for passengers?
They can expect to be comfortable in the terminals.
Airport officials say the new plant brings them one step closer to modernizing LAX. The replacement central utility plant took more than 1.5 million man-hours to build and employed more than 300 construction workers. While the LAPD's Hollenbach division is doubling the amount of foot patrols in its area. As Gil Reyes reports, officers plan to cut crime one step at a time.
They're ditching their police cars and walking the beat. More officers patrolling on foot, extending the hand of friendship to residents and business owners near Mariachi Plaza.
Very enriching for our community. The kids will see police other than, oh, they're here because we got a ticket or there's a problem or I'm in trouble. This way they can see them. They can see that they're regular people.
The LAPD is doubling the number of foot patrols in Boyle Heights, Lincoln Heights, and El Sereno. 4 new foot patrol corridors added. That makes 8 total for LAPD's Hollenbach division. Officers want people to know them on a first-name basis.
It's kind of hard to do that when the police car's speeding by you. And a lot of people want to talk to the police, but they just don't have that opportunity. At least this way, the officers will be on foot. They'll be approachable. We have seen it already in the existing foot beats areas that we have, where community members will come up to the officers and share with them problems that they're having.
Problems like street lighting, parking, and, of course, crime. During the first 3 months of this year, violent crime jumped 26% citywide, much of that gang crime.
Unfortunately, there has been a small uptick in crime in the local area, but thinking ahead, planning ahead, using different models that could help, our captains here and our hardworking men and women from our police department are going to put something else on the streets that's going to help continue to reduce our crime.
And more community policing without patrol cars. In Boyle Heights, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
LAPD foot patrols are taking place on 1st Street, Cesar Chavez Boulevards, and 6 other nearby corridors. Paying tribute to our fallen heroes, Teen Poets get some words of wisdom from a published author, and LA firefighters show community members how they save lives. All these stories and more in City Beat. The U.S. flag was proudly displayed on cars and floats honoring U.S. war veterans during the 26th annual Canoga Park Memorial Day Parade in the San Fernando Valley. Fire trucks made their way down the parade route as hundreds of folks lined the streets to watch the festivities.
I love Memorial Day. My dad was a veteran. We have a lot of veterans in our family, and I respect the veterans. Thank you.
I think Memorial Day is a wonderful, wonderful celebration for our troops and our country.
A teen poetry workshop was held recently at the Cypress Park Library, featuring Luis Rodriguez, who was selected last year by Mayor Eric Garcetti as the Poet Laureate of Los Angeles. Rodriguez said the goal of these workshops is to perform readings and talk to as many kids as possible to get them interested in reading.
I love books, and libraries were like my favorite places to go. And when you're a young kid and you don't got language and you're shy and you don't know what's going on, books are great. You know, they never attack you, they never jump on you, they never can tell you're never going to amount to anything. So I found books to be a really great refuge.
The workshop is part of a series of workshops presented throughout the LA Public Library system as part of the Los Angeles Youth Poet Laureate Contest. All teen poets are encouraged to enter. The winner will be named LA Youth Poet Laureate and win a book deal to publish their first book of poems. More than 100 fire stations opened their doors recently as part of Fire Service Day, giving the community a chance to recognize their firefighters, see what they do, and how they do it. Firefighters at Fire Station 13 in Pico Union held several demonstrations highlighting their equipment and tools. Folks got a chance to see the jaws of life in action as firefighters showed them how they break into cars when someone is stuck inside. Community members also got to tour the inside of the firehouse.
This is just like our own home, away from home, that we eat, we sleep, we cook, we clean, do the same things you do at your normal house, and it's a chance for them to kind of see what their community fire station is all about and what we do.
Firefighters always look forward to this day. It's a great day to have an open house, to have all the community come in, and we do special things across the city.
The LA Zoo recently observed the 10th anniversary of Endangered Species Day by hosting a two-day event featuring a variety of educational activities, highlighting efforts to save 4 unique species who are facing extinction, such as the western lowland gorilla, the California condor, the peninsula longhorn, and the mountain yellow-legged frog. Zoo guests learned about the importance of preventing the loss of those endangered animals. The action-adventure earthquake film San Andreas is shaking things up in theaters. And at the movie premiere in Hollywood recently, action film star Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson really got the crowd going in true Hollywood fashion. That's the focus of This Week in Tweets. The Rock posted a short video clip on Twitter of him making a blockbuster entrance hanging off an LAFD fire truck while a helicopter swooped overhead. He wrote, "One of the greatest and most epic red carpet arrivals in the history of Hollywood. Thank you, LAFD. Thank you, Warner Brothers. But most of all, thank you, fans." Johnson, who plays a Los Angeles Fire Department helicopter pilot in the film, had a chance to hang out with the real-life members of the LAFD at Firehouse 27. He tweeted, "Very cool to spend some time with the boys before our big San Andreas premiere. An honor for me to represent these colors in our film." Johnson later retweeted a pic of him and LA Fire Chief Ralph Terrazas posted by San Andreas Movie. It read, hashtag San Andreas star Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and our real-life first responders. LAFD Conversation tweeted a pic of Johnson arriving on a fire truck, writing, "Honoring fellow first responders and helping The Rock with a star-worthy entrance." Their premiere was held at the Chinese Theater. And that's a look at This Week in Tweets. A jam session that can't be beat, an interactive performance of a children's classic, and a hands-on exhibit. All this in this week's Things to Do. Get moving and get inspired with a Latin jam session. Hit the dance floor with Andrea Rodriguez as she shows you the steps to cumbia dance, originating in Colombia's Caribbean coastal region and Panama. Make sure to wear comfortable clothes and shoes. Jam sessions are participatory and centered around movement and music. All jams are free and all ages and skill levels are welcome. Jam sessions begin on Saturday, June 6th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. The open dance floor is from 7:30 to 9 p.m. Live music will be playing all night long. The festivities take place at the Hacienda Heights Community Center at 1234 Valencia Avenue in Hacienda Heights. For more information, visit fordtheaters.org. Children's theater doesn't get much better than this. On Saturday, June 6th, take the really young ones, the kids, your neighbors' kids, or just yourself out to see this very fresh and original production of Cinderella at Theater West. With the smart book and clever lyrics written by Lloyd J. Schwartz, along with the wonderful music composed by Michael Paul, you and your family will be in for an amazing, fun, and interactive musical treat. Cinderella asks for help from the audience, both to get information and help her discover what she really wants. And it seems to thrill the children in the audience until the very end. Children, if they choose, can ride horses with the prince, go to the ball, and even help them figure out who actually fits that glass slipper. Theater West is located at 3333 Cahuenga Boulevard West. Tickets for adults are $12 and for kids, $10. Learn more at theaterwest.org. And for something your child can really get into, check out the Skirball Center's Noah's Ark exhibit on display now. The permanent, award-winning children's and family destination is the talk of the town. Play, climb, build, explore, make believe, and make friends, all while exploring a floor-to-ceiling wooden ark filled to the rafters with whimsical animals. Share in a timeless story and together envision a better world. The Skirball Center is located at 2701 North Sepulveda Boulevard. For more details, visit skirball.com/exhibitions. And that's a look at some things to do. And finally, from John Cho to Ming Na Wen, Asian Pacific Islanders in Hollywood have received much-needed support from 3 nonprofits making moves behind the scenes. As Gil Reyes shows us, these groups received special honors during Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month celebrations at City Hall focused on providing more opportunities for emerging young talent in film and television. Honorees included the Coalition of Asian Pacifics in the Entertainment Industry, or CAPE. For years, CAPE has nurtured up-and-coming screenwriters with its new Writers Fellowship program.
We will continue to persevere and continue with passion.
Wow. Congratulations. Also honored, the folks behind the Los Angeles Asian Pacific Film Festival. In April, the festival screened more than 150 mostly independent movies from Asian Pacific filmmakers, a group largely underrepresented in mainstream Hollywood. For that, Visual Communications received the Spirit of LA Award.
I'd like to dedicate this award to Linda Mabala, our former executive director who passed away 12 years ago. Your spirit continues to live with us.
Like a queen, yeah. Our final awardees began hosting local Korean talent competitions 2 years before American Idol. These days, the group known as Collaboration, with a K, is also collaborating with stars like Randall Park from TV's Fresh Off the Boat and John Cho from Star Trek and Selfie to help shatter Asian Pacific stereotypes in pop culture.
One show became this huge nationwide movement, and having the roots in LA means so much to us, and to have this honor means so much to us.
City leaders say thanks for their contributions to the entertainment industry.
To provide billions of dollars to the local economy, the cultural and historical significance of what Asian American Pacific Islanders bring to our region.
And will continue to bring if given the chance. At City Hall, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
A full rundown of special events on Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month can be found at culturela.org. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kane. From all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Cash in your water-thirsty lawn for a water-wise landscape. LADWP will give you $3.75 for every square foot of grass you replace with California-friendly landscaping. Goodbye, grass. Hello, hardy shrubs, plants, and trees fit for LA's dry climate. Add a walkway made of decomposed granite. Cashing in your lawn equals money in your pocket and long-term savings on your water bill. Learn more at ladwp.com/water conservation. Keep conserving today. It's water conservation the LA way.
Don't hurt me this way. Don't touch me this way.
When a physical encounter occurs between man and machine, the machine always wins. Please, don't lose. Obey all the rules of the road.
Don't let me make the same mistake again.
Hi, I'm Mike from Los Angeles. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel.
council chambers, members.
Good morning. This is the third day of June, 2015. When this city was founded, it was 44 people who walked 9 miles from the Mission San Gabriel. I know we got more than 44 people in the chambers, but we want to welcome those river people because when they walked from the Mission San Gabriel, they stopped at the river because what you need in life are two things, water and relationships. So let's hear it for the river. And we're real close, Mr. Clerk, to get started. So we need one more member. We're at 10 right now? We're at 10 right now. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Blumenfield, Bonner, Buscaino, Cedillo, Engler, Fuentes, Huizar, Carrasco, Corrin, Labange, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Wesson. 10 members present and quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. O'Farrell moves. Ms. Martinez seconds. Next order.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Bonnet moves, and Mr. Huizar seconds.
Mr. President, items 1 through 3 are items noticed for public hearing. The Department of Building and Safety recommends that item 1B be received and filed inasmuch as ownership has changed, and that items 1D and 1F be received and filed inasmuch as the liens have been paid.
Very good, thank you. So we'll take your advice without objection. Thank you.
Very good, sir. We do have cards in for item number 1.
So let's hold that. And the balance, you want to take the balance, Mr. Clerk, or what do we want to do right now?
Unless another member would like to call item 2 or 3 special, that would be appropriate.
I don't see any members being called. Okay. So item 2 and 3, let's take it up. Let's open the roll. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
So ordered.
And, Mr. President, that ordinance will go over 1 week for a second read unless reconsidered later today with 12 members.
Please keep us posted, as you always do, Mr. Clerk. Next item.
Very good, sir. Items 4 through 6 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Members 4 through 6. Any specials on 4 through 6? 4 for Mr. Bonin, the fine councilman of the 11th District. 5 and 6. Thank you. So hold those for special.
Very good, sir. Mr. President, that's all items.
It's all items. What about number 9?
No, that was all items in that group, 4 through 6.
Very good. Okay, I just tested.
My apologies, sir.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Items 7 through 8 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Let's open the roll for consideration. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
10 ayes. They're before us, Mr. Clerk. What would you like to do?
Mr. President, we do have cards on items 7 and 8.
So let's hold that right now.
Very good, sir. Mr. President, on the continuation agenda, item 9 is an item for which a public hearing has been held.
It has been held, and item 9 is, can we do that before us?
No, sir.
Okay, so we're going to hold that special?
If you'd care to, I don't see any members calling it special, and public hearing was satisfied in committee.
I think it's very special. So I just wanted to hold that for later real quick, so I want to make sure people know how important it is to build senior centers in the city of Los Angeles, because one day we'll all be seniors. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item 2 forthwith, please.
2 forthwith. Mr. Clerk, what's before us now? Now we're going to have presentations. Again, welcome to the John Farrell Chambers. For those of you who are new, how many people are new first time here? Very good. All right. Please enjoy. And when the sky clears, go up to the Tom Bradley Tower and look over the great city of Angels. Mr. O'Farrell, it's your time to make a very special presentation, as well as Bob Blumenfield from the 3rd District and Mr. O'Farrell from the 13th District.
Good morning, colleagues. First of all, I'd like to welcome Bobber, the river dog from the Army Corps of Engineers. Bobber, wave. Where are you? Thank you. In case you didn't notice, it is River Day in the city of Los Angeles. Let's hear it for the Los Angeles River. It is with great pleasure that I present River Day with our colleague Bob Blumenfield as we introduce this year's program. In the tradition of River Day past, I would like to introduce Mr. Lewis McAdams, Poet Laureate of the Los Angeles River and the father of the LA River. Lewis is a fierce defender of its habitat restoration and the backbone of Friends of the Los Angeles River, otherwise known as FOLAR. Lewis.
It's a wonderful honor to be able to be before this august body and talk about poetry. I think it's an amazing day here showing the diversity and power of Los Angeles, how the different people here for different reasons and trying to make their voices heard. This is a short poem. This is from a book that has a lot of poems about the LA River. It's a poem, the book that has a lot of poems about the Los Angeles River, and this is one of them. For years, I thought I was going to find the old man of the river, a guru who knew everything there was to know about it. He was going to draw me a map, then I'd know what to do with the information which was written on my soul. I never found him until I caught my reflection in a puddle of rainwater. It was me all along, bushy brows, balding skull, worried eyes, and in awe of 8 egrets as they lift into the evening, pink light bathing their breasts, then turn northeast into the clouds gathering above Mount Washington. Thank you very much.
You can have a seat or stand with us if you like.
Should I introduce a little about Josephine or the award?
No, I'll do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. Good. Thank you. Big round of applause for Lewis McAdams. I want to give a big thank you to the LA River Revitalization Corporation, SoCal Gas, and Morgan Real Estate for producing the incredible T-shirts that you're seeing many people wear. This year's 2015 River Day T-shirts. Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce our colleague, Bob Blumenfield. Bob and I co-introduced a motion last year calling for the creation of Enhanced Increment Financing District along the entire Los Angeles River through the City of Los Angeles. I'm grateful to all of our colleagues for unanimously supporting that moving forward back in February. Once we establish a permanent revenue stream for projects along the Los Angeles River, it will bring resources that will help us fulfill the vision that we have for the LA River. That includes habitat restoration, infrastructure improvements, brownfield remediation, improvements, parks that will bring people to the river as never before, and it also will help fund low and moderate income housing along the stretch of the Los Angeles River. And we have broad support. We'll be moving forward with the studies to help get that off the ground, and it will be a 45-year stream of funds to help us fulfill the vision that was created back in 2007. So again, let's hear it for the LA River, and let's hear it for Bob Blumenfield.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Councilman O'Farrell, for bringing forward this important presentation and being such a great a force of nature for this river, and really in terms of its revitalization and being a great partner. LA River Day is important to Los Angeles because the LA River is important to Los Angeles. And the revitalization of the LA River is important to making a vibrant future Los Angeles that we all know it can, should, and will be. It is from the River of Los Angeles that Los Angeles received its name when Juan Crespi, one of the two Franciscan missionaries traveling with the Portola expedition, named it the River of Our Lady of the Angels of Porciuncula. But the river story begins anew every day at the confluence of Bell Canyon and Arroyo Calabasas, which form the river's headwaters in Canoga Park in my West Valley district. And from there, the river flows through the West Valley and beyond. 32 of the river's 51 miles flow through the city of Los Angeles. And with the jurisdiction shared by the Army Corps of Engineers, the county, the city of Los Angeles, along with other municipalities along the river's 51 miles, and the mission of revitalizing the Los Angeles River has taken an unprecedented and important collaboration among government, different levels of government, and elected officials. But more than that, this river has brought together citizens across this city, from the headwaters in my district to the Elysian Valley and beyond, to Glendale Narrows, and even to the Pacific Ocean in Long Beach. Now, I've been part of this coalition of folks who have been working on the river to make sure that it's treated as a recreational resource for many years. Back in the early 90s or mid-90s, when I worked for the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, and we were helping some of the groups get that original vision off the ground and create the River Center, there have been so many people involved in making this happen. And as an elected official, I've been dedicated to that work, working collaboratively with my partners in government, organizations like the Trust for Public Land, FOLAR, the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, and so many others to improve this river. Together, we have accomplished a tremendous amount. We've preserved, expanded, and secured new open space along the river and are committed to doing much, much more. Last year, I, along with Mr. O'Farrell and Councilmember Cedillo, joined the mayor as we traveled to Washington, D.C., where we were successful in convincing key leaders in Congress and the White House to support the restoration of 719 acres of river habitat in Los Angeles. And we've put new miles in bike lanes along the LA River. Last year, we cut the ribbon on 2 miles of continuous bike path along the LA River in Winnetka, which goes a long way toward achieving that goal of 51 contiguous miles. Just this past weekend, I was out with my family biking on that LA River on that little 2-mile stretch in my district, and it was fantastic. Today, I'm putting, in addition to what we're doing, I'm putting a motion in today that looks to close the remaining 12 miles of gap in the San Fernando Valley Bikeway, which spans districts 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We will all continue to do more. And if there's anything to take away from what I've said today, it's that collaboration is the key to all of this and is the key to the river. And that's why I'm so thankful for the collaboration of Colonel Colleton, commander of the Army Corps, our Army Corps dog that's back there, as well as Dr. Josephine Axe, the Chief Planning of the Army Corps, all of the folks who've been such important partners, and especially Mitch O'Farrell and the Council, who are really making this happen on the city level. So thank you, and let the LA River flow, and let's revitalize it and make it what it should be. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you so much. Thank you, Councilmember Blumenfield. As Bob mentioned, there are 8 council districts that the river winds through. So to have the full support of the City Council for revitalization is critical. We also have our county partners who are very supportive. 1/4 of the city's population, that's 1 million people, live within 1 mile of the LA River, something to bear in mind. And someone who knows that is one of our wonderful partners in all of this, and that is the Army Corps of Engineers. Colonel Colleton, Kimberly Colleton, was assigned to the LA area around the same time I took office, that several of us took office 2 years ago. The last 2 years and the tremendous amount of work we have accomplished together in that time has been stunning and inspiring. She's been a dedicated supporter of Alternative 20, as Bob just mentioned, and we know no matter where she is assigned, she will continue to voice her support for this urban waterway. Colonel Colleton has drank the water from the LA River. It's like drinking Kool-Aid. She's all in. So we would like to present this resolution to Colonel Kimberly Colleton as a bon voyage and many happy returns. Colonel Colleton, please step forward.
Thanks, sir.
Oh, you're welcome. You still hold for just a second. I think we can take a few pictures. You stand in the middle. Where we going?
There we go. Chief Advertising, thank you for letting us bring the dog.
Yeah. Okay, I'll hold this.
Oh, thank you. So thank you, sir. A couple of things. I really appreciate everybody, the things that you've just said. Obviously, Councilman LaBonge, Councilman O'Farrell, gentlemen, you guys are much more eloquent speakers than I am, and so I appreciate the words today and the words earlier in the rotunda about the work that everybody's doing, because it is phenomenal. And we all are part of one team. We're all in the same shell, rowing together, so collaboration was something that I wanted to hit on. I think that's what's key to doing anything these days. And although the Army Corps of Engineers has been involved in LA matters, for quite some time, beginning in, the late 1800s with construction of the port and the breakwaters in San Pedro, and in engineering solutions to try and control the river in the 1930s and 40s and 50s and the 80s because of severe flooding. And even today, we have many interests along the river, in addition to restoring ecosystems, but enabling recreation opportunities like the kayaking program that has really blossomed under the leadership of the city. Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's a lot of great things happening under a lot of people's persistence to want better. And so even though the Army Corps has been involved for a while, I would say that the Army in general does not train an officer to be ready to take on a project like this, or to come to a city, the second largest city in the country, to come here and begin to understand, the complexities of the issues that we're dealing with. But the team that I fell into has been great. Normally we get the vignette, which is, okay, Captain, cross that river, bridge that river, not restore the ecosystems or open it up for kayaking. That is not your traditional Army problem, but I'm very blessed that I've been able to come here and work these challenges and these adventures with the team. And so I say I'm very fortunate to be part of this team. I think that you've welcomed me on the boat in an amazingly welcoming fashion, and I hope that I've been rowing and keeping up with everybody else along the way. And, although I think we have put a lot into our collective study of the 11 miles of river. I love that everyone is looking farther and longer and looking out for what can we do better for the entire 51 miles along the river, where people work, live, recreate, and commingle, and really take pride in where they live. And so a couple other things I wanted to share, which is, I think what's touched me, this is my job, and I've been very blessed to have such a job, but in my free time I've been really fortunate to be able to kayak on the river, to go out with Friends of the Los Angeles River. Last year and this year I brought a bunch of my neighbors to come clean up the river, and I got little 3- and 4-year-old kids being like, Mommy, Daddy, we help clean the river. And it means a lot to see them, down in the estuary and up in Sepulveda and all along the way picking up trash. It's changed, I think, the way I've thought about what we're doing. And thank you for pushing me to do that. I've been lucky enough to run a 10K that finishes at a brewery. What a great way to spend a Saturday or a Sunday. And so it's been really fun, and I do appreciate the opportunity for some free advertising with water safety, and because, that's what we really are about. How do we recreate? How do we celebrate? How do we do these things and be safe with it? And so thanks for allowing us to have our dog here. And I guess at last I would just like to do a couple of small presentations. A tradition in the Army is to give out a coin, and we consider it like a coin of excellence. And we designed a coin in the last 2 years that I've been in command that includes the river on it, along with all the other missions we do, in addition to navigation and operations of our ports and supporting the military installations, restoring the ecosystem, and keeping the river open for many uses. And so I would like to present one to you, Councilman LaBonge.
Josephine.
And then while I have, it's funny, you just called me Josephine, so I'm
sorry.
No, it's okay.
I've got Josephine Axt.
We look very similar, and I meant to mention that I'm proud to be up here because she's worked very hard, and she's moved on to another job in San Francisco, still helping us, and she's a significant part of our Corps of Engineers team. And so thank you for reminding me to mention that she would have loved to have been here today, but we have her on the East Coast. Working some significant issues, but she's here in spirit. So we talked last night, and she wishes she could have been here as well.
We've got something for her, too.
And Louis, thank you. Yes, sir. So thank you.
So Colonel, don't go anywhere. Now, if I see Omar Brownson at a bar and I slam this on the counter, does that mean he has to buy me a beer?
Yes.
Okay, Omar, we're going to party with a purpose. All right, so speaking of Josephine Axt, Josephine has been representing the Army Corps of Engineers, Dr. Josephine Axt, since 2006. And she has been Chief of Planning for the Los Angeles region and has the responsibility of several states. She couldn't be here today, so accepting this on her behalf is also Colonel Kimberly Colleton. Colonel? You got it. You bet. All right, and also we have, so people from across the state are aware of your incredible talent, Colonel, including Senator Carol Liu. Represented today by Vickery Murphy is here to present a token of the Senator's gratitude for all of your work as well.
Good morning. I'm pleased to be here on behalf of Senator Carol Liu, and a big section of the LA River restoration is in the Senator's district, as is a big part of Council Member LaBonge's district. So this certificate of recognition is presented to Colonel Kimberly Colleton, and we have one also in absentia for Dr. Axt, and I'll just read it because it's fairly short. In recognition of the second annual Los Angeles River Day, on behalf of the California State Senate, I join the City of Los Angeles and Council Member Mitch O'Farrell in recognition of your outstanding efforts on behalf of the Los Angeles River. Your tremendous contributions to restoring a green and sustainable riverly environment in the heart of our community will forever be appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It would not be an LA River Day without another edition of the LA River Follies. Are you ready to see the debut of the second annual Follies? I'd like to invite my colleague Jose Huizar to join me in introducing this year's film. Councilman Huizar.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. O'Farrell. And first of all, I want to thank Mr. McAdams for all the work you've done on the LA River. You've been the face for us to continue to inspire us in revitalizing this great resource we have that has been underutilized for so many years. And I want to, again, just thank you for the work you've done and for continuing to inspire us to continue to do what we want, what we can do in the LA River. Congratulations. Thank you so much for you. And we have, are we doing it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it now.
We have a little great story for you. I just found out that Councilmember O'Farrell was a performer a while back, and he still has that itch. And now as a council member, he doesn't want to give it up. And last year he brought us a nice treat with a nice little film where Ms. Martinez and O'Farrell ran all over the LA River. But it's a great way to promote the river. I want to thank Councilmember O'Farrell not only for bringing us this treat again this year, but also for his stewardship and continuing to move the LA River forward. As Mr. Blumenfield said, he is a force of nature when it comes to the LA River. So thank you so much. But with that, we have a little film. It's edited by local filmmaker Rory McLeod Mitchell. And now, Mr. O'Farrell,
thank you. And co-produced by my policy director, Christine Peters. We now introduce Drought Busters.
It's the fourth year of an historic drought in California, and the state is running out of water. As the people of Los Angeles, creative capital of the world, get to work designing imaginative, innovative social action campaigns to raise awareness about their dwindling water supply, the president of the Los Angeles City Council, Herb Wesson, remembers happier days on the Los Angeles River during his quest for the golden paddle, and contemplates more drastic action to find the water his city needs.
Bring me 0013, O'Farrell. Mitch O'Farrell.
Sir.
Drought, fact or fiction?
It's really bad, sir. But I understand sanitation has been working on a solution. Something to do with the Los Angeles River.
Then bring me the head of Enrique Saldivar.
Sir, remember, you're one of the good guys now.
Oh, yeah. Then bring me Enrique Saldivar, alive, head, body, shoulders, legs. Nice smile, nice man.
I will, but I need some help from Jose.
So get 0014 and the two of you handle it?
We'll handle it, sir.
Be gone? Right, Moneypenny?
We called his cell. It went straight to voicemail. Then we called his office. They hadn't seen him all day. Enrique Saldivar and the solution to the drought had disappeared. We decided to check out his usual haunts. We looked all through the Garment District. No Enrique Saldivar. The East Side, Love, in Boyle Heights. Enrique was not there. The Frog Spot in Elysian Valley. Again, no Enrique. Golden Road Brewery in North Atwater Village. Still no Enrique. Saldivar had been working on the LA River, so we headed down to the 6th Street Bridge. How's the bridge coming along?
On time and under budget, sir.
Where's Saldivar?
rising. I'm gonna gun it. Hey, there's a First Street Bridge. Who is this guy? There's the freeway. There's Cesar Chavez Bridge. Cesar or Caesar? It's Cesar. There's the Ed Reyes River Freeway. We're gonna get this guy. It's the confluence of the Arroyo Seco and the LA River. He's trapped!
Swatting. Let's get him.
So this is the water we produce at the LAG Water Reclamation Plant. As you look at it, it goes through several steps to get it to this level of purity. Primary settling, phase 1, aeration, phase 2, more settling, phase 3, and then the final phase 4, filtration and purification. It ends up looking this pure and beautiful.
Oh, shit. Enrique, where in the hell have you been? We've been looking all over for you.
We thought that guy kidnapped you. I am sorry. Let me check my phone. I do see messages from you, but you know I've been high up on the Charlie Turner Trail with Tom LaBonge, and there is no cell phone reception out there. I am so sorry.
Jeez.
Jeez.
Jesus, come on.
But then again,
Who's that guy?
Just keeping you on your toes.
let's have a drink of filtrated water from the water reclamation plant at LAG.
Cheers, everybody.
Good. And toast to the river.
To the LA River.
Cheers.
Cheers. Again, big round of applause for filmmaker Rory McLeod Mitchell and Christine Peters. So last year's video
It should be
resulted...
announced no council members were injured during the production of
That's
this.
right. That's right. And all permits were taken through Film LA. All right. So last year's race ended in an 11th hour victory for the Golden Paddle by Council President Wesson. This year's Golden Paddle Award goes to the Bureau of Sanitation, and providing that award will be our colleague Nuri Martinez. And accepting on behalf of Director Mr. Enrique Saldivar will be Tracy Menamide. Tracy, Chief Operating Officer at Sanitation. Congratulations, you are, through Enrique, the winner of the Golden Paddle 2015. Thank you so much. That concludes.
You know what, Mr. O'Farrell, Mr. Labange, where did he go? Well, he was on the queue. I'm sure he was going to say that this was great. Thank you and our other colleagues for all of their good work. So let's just a moment for Mr. Labange. Anyway, the show is back to you.
Thank you. Just to say that that concludes the presentation, but in the rotunda are more resources from our various nonprofit partners talking about the wonders of the LA River. So I encourage everyone to go out, learn more about it, come to the river. You can kayak in Elysian Valley and at Sepulveda Basin. The river is teeming with life, not seen since it was channelized some years ago. So go river. The future is bright for the LA River. Thank you.
Let's give him another round of applause. Mr. O'Farrell, Blumenfield, Mr. Weezer, 0013 and 0014. Let's on item 2 vote for reconsideration. Mr. Clerk, we now have 12 members. So why don't this first vote is on reconsideration of item 2. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, now we will actually vote on the ordinance. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
And, Mr. President, there's a request to send that matter forthwith.
Okay, without objection, that'll be the order. Sergeants, do we have any other members that are trying to get space to come into the council chambers? If so, now would be the appropriate time to bring them in. I know I saw a line earlier. Mr. Labange.
Real question, quick, it will be less than 31 seconds.
Okay, let's go to item 9, Mr. Labange.
Thank you very much. This is about a senior center. I just want to drill it in everybody's mind and consciousness how senior centers are so important. In the future, I know Mr. Rue will be one to help push it along, but the Greater Griffith Park Community Adult Center serves Elysian Valley, Echo Park, Silver Lake, Hollywood, Los Feliz, Atwater Village, and parts of Glassell Park. So I just want to thank you, everybody, and it's my hope that we could see this through in the future years. Thank you. I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. On that item, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, that passes. You are disrupting the meeting. Public comment on that item was already satisfied in committee. So, Mr. Price, once things calm down a bit here in the council chambers, we will be taking up items 4, 5, and 6. I want to inform you that public comment on this issue has been satisfied. But what I've decided to do is we will have 5 people speak on the no side and 5 people speak on the yes side. So with that said, why don't we start off, Mr. Price, I can start off with the no side, or would you like to say something? Well, why don't you begin?
Good.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, it's my honor to ask for your support on Los Angeles' historic proposal to raise the minimum wage for all workers in our city. While several pieces of this legislation may still need some further deliberation and study before it's finalized, one thing is certain. Today, we're going to make history. I want to also acknowledge the many hands that have been involved in creating this policy. Certainly, we appreciate the leadership of the mayor, who initially moved forward with the proposal. Also, the support from the council president. And let me just acknowledge the support of my colleagues, Bonin, Martinez, and Cedillo for their special leadership in this area, as well as the Economic Development Committee and my other council colleagues. Also important that we acknowledge the unique role played by staff. The CLA, CAO, the committee staff have been provided invaluable guidance and a referral for us. And then, of course, there were the community meetings that we've had, the hundreds of individuals who testified on both sides of this issue, the 4 reports. All have provided the kind of background and impetus, I think, for us to come to this historic position today. LA can submit its leadership as a progressive leader for the nation. Today, the council can enact the most aggressive anti-poverty legislation in the nation to help lift hundreds of thousands of hardworking Angelenos out of poverty. As we continue to debate the details, and these details are important and critical since they're going to help define and strengthen the policy, nevertheless, today I think it should be a moment for us to appreciate the impact of our actions and the benefit that it's going to have on citizens that we represent. LA has quickly become one of the most expensive cities in the nation, with some of the highest costs of housing, and those prices continue to grow. Yet we have some of the lowest median wages. And even as companies continue to recover from the recession, wages to our lowest paid workers have stagnated. Each and every one of us has been touched by this phenomenon. From Sylmar to San Pedro, close to 1 million of our citizens are currently earning a minimum wage. These hardworking men and women get up and go to work every day. Some of you are in here. Some of you are out in the hall. Some of you in the overflow room. But you're here to make a difference. You tackle the tasks with dignity and pride. Yet when payday comes, the wages barely cover basic expenses, let alone enough to go to a restaurant or receive the medical care or get a new pair of shoes. The increase that we're proposing today, which is measured and considerate of concerns raised by small businesses, still leaves worker wages just above the poverty line. In Los Angeles, it's still barely enough to afford food and housing in most neighborhoods. So we will have to take on many more initiatives to address this policy of poverty. We need more affordable housing. We need better paying jobs. We need less discrimination, more opportunities. We've got to make sure that we have incentive packages that are going to help attract better paying jobs, better businesses to our community as well. But today, I think we can take action on something that's going to be tangible, that's going to directly impact thousands of lives. The prospect of lifting 600,000 or 700,000 citizens out of poverty and on a track to sustainability. We should not be shy about this opportunity, members. It's an important opportunity for us and this city. And I look forward to your support on this motion as we move forward, making a statement to the citizens of not just our city, the state, and our country, that Los Angeles is moving ahead with the kind of positive, progressive programs that are going to make a difference. I urge your support, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Price. And before we go into the public comment, I do want to recognize, because we seem sometimes to forget all of the support that we received from the city attorney's office in preparing this ordinance. They had individuals who worked through the night, writing, checking, rechecking. They indicated that this might be one of the biggest things that they ever worked on. So for the unsung heroes in the city attorney's office that we may never know their names, I want, on behalf of the council and the people in this room, thank you for all your work. And when this is over, hopefully a contingent of us council members will come up and thank you personally for all of the work that you've done. With that, so Mr. Dion, your folks did good. With that said, Mr. Bonner, you wanted to speak before I add? Go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, my heart is really full today at what we are about to do. Today, we are going to do, as a legislative body, probably the single biggest thing we will ever do to positively impact the lives of the people in Los Angeles. Today, we're going to say that we're a city that doesn't tolerate poverty. Today, we're going to show that we're a city that really, really sincerely believes in economic and social justice. Today, we're going to raise the wage. This has been, it feels like around here, a long struggle. It's been 8 or 9 months. But in the long arc of history, it's actually been a 50-year struggle. In the mid-1960s, Dr. King was trying to raise the wage for people to $2 an hour, which comes out to close to $15 an hour today. In 1966, he testified before Congress and said, "We know of no more critical or crucial civil rights issue facing Congress today than the need to increase the federal minimum wage and extend its coverage." 3 years later, about a month before he died, he was speaking to sanitation workers in Memphis. And he said to these sanitation workers, who were part of the Poor People's Campaign, whose wages he was trying to raise, "You are reminding not only Memphis, but you're reminding the nation that it's a crime for people to live in a rich nation and receive starvation wages. I need not remind you that this is the plight of our people all over America." He said, "They are making wages so low that they cannot begin to function in the mainstream of the economic life of our nation. These are the facts which must be seen. And it is criminal to have people working on a full-time basis and a full-time job getting part-time income." That was in 1968. A month later, Dr. King was dead, and his dream for 50 years has been deferred. Today, Mayor Garcetti, whose call and whose leadership summoned us to this moment, Mr. Price, Ms. Martinez, Mr. Cedillo, who co-sponsored this legislation with me, Mr. Krikorian and Mr. Koretz and Mr. Huizar, who sat on the committee that worked on this, Mr. Wesson, whose leadership helped land this plane, the Raise the Wage Coalition, everybody in this audience, all the small businesses that came out for this, all of us together, we're sending a message. Today, we're reminding not only Los Angeles, but we're reminding the entire world that we can lift hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people out of poverty, that we can make a more just and equitable society, and that we can fulfill that dream deferred. Today we can and we will raise the wage.
Okay. I want to bring up at this time Stuart Waldman, John Howland, Dustin Batten, Ruben Gonzalez, and Karen Hathaway. Please come forward.
I'm Stuart Waldman. I'm president of the Valley Industry and Commerce Association, representing 416 companies in the San Fernando Valley who've created over 100,000 jobs. First off, I'd like to thank the council president and the council members for a fair and open and transparent process. While we're not necessarily happy with the results, we're happy with the process that we were able to be heard and have business owners come out and speak. However, I represent the downtrodden. I represent the disparaged. I represent the depressed. LA's business owners, the people who create jobs in this city and benefit the economy. Most of the time, when I contact them, I'm telling them what LA is doing to businesses. Rarely do I tell them what LA is doing for businesses. This ordinance says that LA is surrendering to the idea of an adult having to raise their family on a minimum wage. Let's instead talk about this city's jobs plan, which we don't have. Let's talk about recruiting and retaining businesses in this city, which we don't do. Let's ask the mayor, while he has only 3 staff on the business team, when the 3 previous administrations had 5 times that many, with a staffer in each council district. Let's talk about bringing good jobs to this city that pay well, so none of these workers has to work for the minimum wage. Thank you.
John?
Good morning. I'm John Howland with the Central City Association. CCA has 450 members employing over 300,000 people in the Los Angeles region. Throughout the committee and council hearings, wage increase advocates have said that there should be no exemptions for $15 an hour as a wage. Statements were made by various council members there should be no sub-minimum wages, anything below $15 in this policy. The City Council categorically rejected all exemptions that would have helped businesses, restaurants, and nonprofits to adjust to this wage increase. Businesses could not use total compensation when determining wages, unlike what the city does in its own living wage ordinance. But worse, groups like Chrysalis, the Conservation Corps, and Homeboy Industries that provide transitional services to the most vulnerable people were not given an exemption. No loopholes means no loopholes, or give those exemptions to everybody. As you go forward, you're going to hear about, not today, but in the weeks to come, paid time off, collective bargaining agreement exemptions, transitional workers, service charges, and what defines who's an employee. These are all issues that have just come up in the last 10 days since the ordinance language was made public. All of them leave the city open to potential litigation. And what's the response been from the city attorney's office? Trust us. We're confident. As confident as they've been in defending the city against Michael Hunt and his sideshow, the food trucks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Consider that, please.
Dustin?
Good morning, Council President, members of the Council. My name is Dustin Batten with BizFed, the Los Angeles County Business Federation, representing 88,000 employers in the city of Los Angeles. Today, we want to commend the City Council for its thorough and transparent efforts throughout this process. The depth of study and discussion, both public and private, shows why Los Angeles leads the way in this great nation. However, to continue to lead the way, we call on the Council to continue to adhere to this process and take a long look at 2 specific points: the consideration of a labor exemption and the definition of what an employee is. Copy and paste policy is not what leads the way. Just because something is good for Seattle or San Francisco does not mean it is good for Los Angeles. Taking chunks of other cities' policies and implementing it into ours is not thorough, and it is flat out irresponsible. If the minimum wage is good enough for all of us, it's good enough for the labor unions. Furthermore, a business outside of the city should not have to adhere to 2 separate pay scales, period. Please pump the brakes on this ordinance for further study and discussion of these issues before moving forward and continuing to lead the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hathaway, Karen?
Good morning, Mr. President, council members. My name is Karen Hathaway. I'm a business owner. Several aspects of this ordinance will hurt my business, but the devil is in the details, and I just saw the text of the ordinance last week. As written, the ordinance definition of employees, I think, will have a chilling effect on conventions and conferences where out-of-town or out-of-state employees are brought in for one-time events such as training. This is a concern for me as part of the hospitality industry. I cannot afford to lose any more business or incur more costs at this time. The negative impact could be eliminated if the word regularly was inserted in the ordinance so that the definition of an employee reads a person who regularly works within the city's limit at least 2 hours per week. Additionally, the ordinance proposed enforcement mechanisms appear draconian. It's clear to me that they're going to be costly, not only for the city, but certainly for business. There's not been adequate time to think through the pitfalls here. How does this law coordinate with the dozens of state and other labor laws and regulatory agencies that we all deal with? I think we need more input from experts who understand employment law if we want to make a reasonable approach and have an ordinance that can function well without repelling businesses who are trying to do the right thing. I urge you to spend more time on this part of the ordinance. Thank you.
Ruben, to close.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the City Council. My name is Ruben Gonzalez. I'm here on behalf of the LA Area Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to echo Mr. Waldman's comments to thank you for a long process that looked a lot of information and a lot of testimony. You heard from business owners like you've never heard from them before. That being said, the outcome is a damaging one. I know there's going to be a lot of cheering today from folks. I know there's going to be a lot of rallying and there's going to be a lot of patting on the back. But I'd ask you just for a second when you reach to press that button that you think about the negative impacts. The fact is that you're impacting business owners, and despite the rhetoric we hear so often, the majority of business owners in this city and this region aren't on Wall Street. They're not millionaires. They were not born on third base. They're folks who have struggled to create small and medium-sized businesses, and they're the ones who employ most of the folks in this city and this region. They're the ones sitting at home, calling me, telling me how they're going to struggle to make this work on a minimum margin. Today, it's like the butterfly effect. You take an action and it reverberates. Today's action, maybe not today and maybe not tomorrow, but a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, a restaurant worker lost his job. A hotel worker lost his job. A garment industry worker lost their job. And a dry cleaner picked up stakes and moved into a neighboring city that doesn't have these wage regulations and frankly never will. So press that button and think about those impacts and the negative impacts to jobs in those sectors where minimum wage is the most impactful, and think of the negative impact to those owners who struggle to just try and make their American dream work. Today, you made the American dream for so many harder in Los Angeles. Please think about them when you push that button. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The supportive side, I'd like to ask Rusty Hicks to come forward, LaFonza Butler, Rosa, I can't make out the last name from Kiwa, Tia from Rock, LA, and Bartolone Perez. Come on forward.
Good morning, lady and gentlemen of LA City Council. My name's Tia. I'm the Legal and Policy Research Manager at the UCLA Labor Center. And I am thrilled to be here today to celebrate with you the second largest city in the country raising and enforcing its minimum wage. LA is a magical place. The conversation about enforcement began right here in Los Angeles in 2009 when 250 day laborers gathered to give wage theft a name, to give a name to the problem of wage theft, which is in fact a crime. And we are so fortunate that those brave day laborers began a coalition back in 2009, the LA Coalition Against Wage Theft, that consists of restaurant workers, garment workers, car wash workers, construction workers, grocery workers, retail workers, janitors, all of whom are going to partner with the city to make sure that enforcement is a reality, that this $15 is a reality for low-wage workers, of whom there are 755,000 here in Los Angeles that you're benefiting from today. It's important. We know these partnerships are important in San Francisco, where these community groups have partnered with the city to make that reality, to make that wage a reality. San Francisco's collected 90.5% of all of the wages owed plus interest to workers. San Jose, by contrast, didn't have the benefit of all of these community groups, and in the last year, only 8 claims have panned out in that city. That's not going to happen here in Los Angeles. Congratulations for raising the wage. Congratulations to the brave jornaleros who began this journey in 2009. Adelante. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, please identify yourself.
Su nombre. Mi nombre es Rosa. Buenos días. Mi nombre es Rosa López.
Good morning. My name is Rosa Lopez.
Yo trabajé en Chi Dynasty.
I work in Chi Dynasty.
Por 3 años.
For 3 years.
Nunca me pagaron mi sobretiempo.
They never pay me my overtime.
Ni me daban descanso para comer.
They never gave me time to rest.
Un compañero me contó de Kiwa.
A friend of mine told me about Kiwa.
A mí me ayudó a meter mi reclamo de 21,000.
He helped me to put a claim for 21,000.
Me ayudaron a meter un reclamo de represalias.
He also helped me to file a claim for loss of weight.
Que me cortaron horas.
Because they cut some hours.
Ese fue un largo y duro proceso.
This was a very long and very hard process.
El apoyo y conocimiento de Kiwa.
But the support and the knowledge that Kiwa provide me
ayudó en que yo siguiera hasta el final.
It helped me to go through the end.
Organizaciones comunitarias.
Community organizations.
Son importantes.
They are very important.
Gracias a Kiwa.
Thank you to Kiwa.
Hemos podido ayudar a muchas personas.
We have been able to help a lot of
de que
people.
no seamos más abusadas en los trabajos. El robo de salario.
So they do not abuse us at work and they don't steal our salaries.
Y pido de que si habemos muchas personas que somos abusadas en el trabajo, que buscamos organizaciones como Kiwa.
And I ask that if there are other people that are abused at work, that we can look for organizations like Kiwa.
No más al robo de salario.
No more to stealing salaries or
Gracias.
wages. Thank you so much.
Sí. Muy buenos días, miembros del concilio.
Good morning, City Council members.
Mi nombre es Bartolomé Pérez.
My name is Bartolome Perez.
Por 22 años trabajo para una franquicia de McDonald's
For 22 years, I work for a franchise of McDonald's
que genera más de $6 millones al año.
that creates more than $6 million a year.
Es un gran logro el haber movido un sistema económico estancado.
It is a great, it is fabulous that I was able to work with a system, economical system that was stalled.
Solamente para los pobres.
That is only for the poor people.
Haberlo movido con $15 el salario mínimo.
To have work on the $15 salary, minimum salary.
La ley sabe que por más de 20 años la desigualdad fue exagerada.
The law knows that for more than 20 years, the inequality was really exaggerated.
¿Por qué seguir excluyendo una parte de los pobres?
Why would you continue including a part of the poor people
Que pagan los mismos impuestos.
that pay the same salaries or taxes?
Si los estudios hablan de pobreza
If the studies that are done talks about poverty
y que los pequeños negocios funcionan con familiares
and that the small businesses are working with relatives
y las franquicias
and the franchises
son dueños de 3 o más tiendas,
and they own 3 or more stores,
¿por qué excluir al 90%
why are we excluding 90%?
que somos los trabajadores de franquicias y pequeños negocios?
That we are the workers that work for franchises and small businesses.
California es el modelo a seguir en esta nación.
California is a model that we should follow in this nation.
Exigimos $15 para todos.
We demand $15 for everybody.
Todos los trabajadores sin excluir a nadie.
We, for all the workers, without excluding anybody.
El derecho a un sindicato sin represalias.
The right to a union without any represalias.
Somos octava nación que genera más economía en el mundo.
We're the nation that generates more economy in the world.
No podemos pensar pobremente porque de la misma manera terminaremos.
We cannot think like poor people because we're gonna end up that way.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much.
Good morning. My name is Marisa Avila, and I'm coming from Estero La Fonsa Butler. And we're coming from UOTCW. And today I just want to say thank you to everybody over here who is sitting down, because when I make my vote for you guys. And I know I didn't do anything wrong because I know you're going to support us. We are people that work 3 jobs, 2 jobs to survive. So how those big companies can come over here and tell us that they cannot be and they cannot survive in the business area. Come on, you had to share, because we work hard for all those companies. We have like 12, 13 years of our life working inside. So it's fair that they can share a little bit what they have. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zenobia. I've been a CNA for 6 years in Los Angeles. I currently work in a nursing home, and I'm addressing the issue about wage theft, which is an issue. Not paying someone for their hard work is wage theft. Making someone wait for their paycheck is wage theft. Making someone work on their break is wage theft. And it's not fair for workers. It's not fair for workers' rights to be violated. Wage theft needs to be stopped. Creating wage theft laws would have a positive outcome, because all people deserve to be treated with dignity.
Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Sí se puede.
No. It's only 5 speakers. Mr. Hicks to close. Have to be fair on both sides.
You got a minute of my time.
My name is Sherry Bell. When I came to the Black Workers Center 3 years ago, I was an unemployed single parent struggling to find work and only was able to get access to minimum wage jobs. With over 50% of Los Angeles black community either unemployed or underemployed, we know that the same employers who steal workers' wages are the same employers who rob workers of access to quality work. So we want to make sure that the city can move forward with a policy that includes civil rights protections and allows real outreach and education to make sure that we work with the community to end discrimination in hiring practices. We know that when black workers have their wages stolen and are blocked from getting access to work, the repercussions go far beyond the individual. So we are happy here today to witness Los Angeles City Council taking a monumental step in improving conditions for LA's workers.
Thank you. Hold the time. All right. Last speaker.
Good morning, members of the council. Rusty Hicks, LA County Federation of Labor and Campaign to Raise the Wage. You know, we started off this morning's council meeting talking about the restoration of the LA River. Well, what you are doing today, you have the opportunity to begin to restore the lives of 750,000 people that are working hard each and every day in the city of Los Angeles. My hat is off to the mayor for stepping forward and starting this discussion on Labor Day. My hat is off to all of you for your engagement and participation and your transparency and the care with which you've moved through this debate. The time for reports and studies and comments is done. And to say that we should put the brakes on this policy is frankly a joke. People in this city have waited way too long for the raise and the decision that you have before you. So today, push that button. Push the green one. And push the green button for all of the 750,000 people that are working hard in this city each and every day.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, if we could all sit down. Let's sit down so we can begin the conversation on this very important item. With that said, I think I want to go to Mr. Cedillo. It's the next person on the queue. Mr. Cedillo.
Mr. President, members, people of the audience, I want to thank you for your leadership, Mr. President. You and I have been blessed to do many great things. We talked about it yesterday, and we're going to do something great today. I want to thank the mayor for his leadership, because I remember those first meetings in his office with labor, with people from the community, with the business sector, all of us sitting there as the mayor put forth his proposal. It was bold and it was specific, and it had a purpose. And its purpose was for this city to have a strategic response to the challenges of poverty in this city. That's our mission. How do we work to close the growing divide that exists between poverty and wealth? And so we venture to go forward in a broad coalition. But let's, as Mr. Bonin did, put us in a great historic perspective. Let's move forward to today's reality. The call to raise the minimum wage wasn't simply from those of us who do that normally. Of course, labor wants to raise the minimum wage. That's their mission. That's their purpose. Of course, the community groups want to raise the wage. Of course. That's their mission. That's their purpose. But we also heard from Eli Broad. We also heard from Rick Caruso. We also heard from the Los Angeles Business Council. We heard from many voices in the business community, because they understand that we cannot be a divided city on the questions of wealth and poverty. That without, right, we hear it from economists, former Labor Secretary Robert Reich, who says, look, we can't take all the money out of the middle. Who's going to buy our goods and services? And so it's an important issue that we're moving forward, and we've done so in a way that's been thoughtful and deliberate. Everybody has praised the open process. Everybody has praised our deliberation on the many questions that were raised. And I want to remind us, we were concerned about job loss, what was acceptable and unacceptable, what's the size of a small business. We were concerned about job training, competitive disadvantage. All these questions were brought to us, and they have, for the most part, been answered. Now because I represent one of the poorer districts in the city, economically speaking, I've been concerned about job loss, about us and being positioned in competitive disadvantage with neighboring cities. Very concerned about that. We cannot be an island. And so the mayor went out and cajoled other cities to say that they would take a comparable initiative. But also the state, with the leadership of Mark Leno, passed in the Senate yesterday. The state of California is moving forward with a proposal to lift the wages to $11 and to $13. What does that do? That begins to level the playing field and does not allow us to be positioned as the high-cost city of the region. On the question of wage enforcement, there's SB 588 by Senator De Leon. More resources to enforcement. Because it doesn't matter how much you make if one, you don't have a job, or two, if you don't get paid for the work you do. And so we are beginning to raise that as the economy improves, raise the resources and commit ourselves to that. So we've asked that question. And I'm very proud that in the question of wage enforcement, that the question, to the extent legally and constitutionally possible, that we make a moral statement that we will protect the civil rights of all workers in the city. So, Mr. President, I'm happy to stand with a full heart, as my colleague said, to support this endeavor for workers in this city, for the working class and the working men and women of the city. But, colleagues, as you know, I also have another concern. I've mentioned the least of these. Those who would aspire to become part of the working class, but they need a second chance. Those young men and women who are leaving incarceration for bad choices they made and who want to make a better choice. Those chronically homeless who struggle to do the things that we consider simple. Get up every day, go to work every day, be on time. And those young men and women they call at-risk youth, they deserve a second chance. And that's why I continue to advocate for an exemption for those trainees, those students of life, those who have been pushed to the margin. Let's give them a second chance to join the working class. And with that, Mr. President, I'm proud to stand and say I support today's initiative. We have answered many questions. We have continued work to do. But let's be bold, let's be specific, and let's begin the assault on poverty in this city. I thank you, my brothers and sisters.
Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President. A lot has been said. I just wanted to, as Mr. Bonin spoke, and I think you mentioned it as well, Mr. Weston, I've been on this council for 9 years now, and in my 9 years on council, this is the singular most important vote I would have taken in those 9 years. And it is the singular most important vote because Los Angeles is known as the city of dreams, but for too long we've seen increased inequality, and this will help decrease that gap. As we say, como dicen en mi idioma natal, lo que vamos a hacer hoy es justo y necesario. The leadership of the city, coming from the advocacy of people who have asked for this change for years, came together, as Mr. Cedillo summarized, and we should be proud of where we got, how we got here today, and what we're doing today. It was mentioned that the process was deliberate, methodical. Mr. Price, for your meetings to go out throughout the city, what's the right decision so that everybody throughout the city can give their input. Sometimes we underestimate how some people in this city can easily get from one point to come downtown for these types of meetings. But at the end of the day, what we're doing today is historical, and I'm proud today to call myself an Angelino as we continue to move the city forward. Thank you.
Koretz, Paul Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, I can't hope to be as articulate as my colleagues that just spoke, particularly Mr. Cedillo, but I can say I've been working on this issue all these issues for a long time. I started in West Hollywood on the city council, and we passed a living wage ordinance. But that was only a modest success because it only applied to city contractors. I tried to pass a minimum wage in the Schwarzenegger era. You probably can figure out how that went. But today, I actually get to join my colleagues in, as was said, the most historic vote we're going to take as a city council. And despite what was said earlier, there's definitely a situation that we can't avoid. There are hundreds of thousands of families that are supported by minimum wage earners. And we can't pretend we can plan our way out of that strategically. There's only one thing we can do. We can increase the minimum wage and lift those families out of poverty. And we have to do that today. But we've approached this in a balanced way. And we've approached it in a way where we were working to do the least amount of harm as we're doing good. And I think we've taken our best shot at that and done well. But more importantly, another issue which sadly I worked on for many years without the success I would like. When I was in the legislature, I did a significant bill on wage theft, except that Gray Davis gave way to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and again, you can probably figure out how that went. But especially here in Los Angeles, we are the capital of the country in wage theft. We're usually ahead on things. Sometimes they're not things to be proud of, and that's certainly not one. $25 million plus a week stolen from our lowest income workers, and that has to change. It's not good for anybody. It's obviously terrible for those people getting $5 an hour, much less than $9 an hour that nobody can live on appropriately. But it's also a disaster for the honest businesses that are their competitors. When I was in the state legislature, there was an association of janitorial contractors that paid their employees the legal wage, and they begged for protection from those that were violating the law and paying them $4 or $5 or $6 an hour. And the state did not provide that. I think the state's too big to ever really fully enforce wage theft, but I think the city of Los Angeles isn't. And the steps we are going to pass, I believe, will largely bring an end to wage theft. We have to, at some point, criminalize wage theft. You can't go to jail for stealing a pair of socks, but steal millions of dollars for your employees and get off scot-free. And we're going to change that. And that may be one of the biggest offsets for some of the employers that are paying a higher wage, is that they will now be more competitive because they won't have to compete against their competitors paying $4 or $5 an hour, sometimes not even paying their employees at all. And adding anti-discrimination language to this is even a more important step yet. So we are doing so much good today. I think this will be the most historic day that we can look back on in our political careers as council members and be proud of what we do today.
Mr. Blumenfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. For so many years, the real value of the minimum wage has been going down. It's been going down, and it's been going down because what happens is the economy improves, the value of the dollar becomes less, but the wage remains the same. That changes today. Today, I am proud that we are raising the minimum wage, but we're also doing it in a way that will not have that stagnation happen over time. A minimum wage that's going to be increased and that it will continue to keep up with CPI so that we don't have to keep this fight over and over again. This process has been a long one and a good one in many respects. I'm very pleased. There were a number of issues that I've been raising about nonprofit organizations, making sure that the shock, there was some accommodation made, dealing with some of the small businesses, and making sure that we monitor the actual impacts of this wage. Instead of all the economists with their predictions, we're going to actually go in and we're going to monitor it on a year-by-year basis because we want this thing to work, to succeed, to be great, and to create an effect across the nation where other cities and states will do the same as us, and our raising the wage here in Los Angeles will cascade from west to east. So I'm excited about that. I'm also very excited about the wage enforcement piece of this. I think that is critical. There are a lot of questions that are raised, but I want to tell folks that the wage ordinance that we have before us is a first step. I look at it, I see a lot of questions that we need to figure out in terms of making sure our staffing is right, in terms of making sure the notice is right, because again, we want Los Angeles to lead, to do it right. Not just to be first and on the edge of things, but to do it right. So I'm excited what we can do, what we will do, but most importantly, you know, there's a green button in front of me, at least in theory, and I'm excited to be pressing that green button today and joining with you on raising the wage.
Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, as I've mentioned before, my mom dropped out of high school and spent most of her working life making minimum wage plus tips. What I haven't mentioned is that my dad was also the owner of a micro business, never had more than 3 or 4 employees. And so as I hear the business people come up and talk about the potential for some people being impacted, I understand that issue as well. And that's why I'm so proud that this council has undergone such an in-depth process of analysis and mitigation of those impacts. We've looked at this for 9 months. We've had the benefit of 3 complete economic analyses plus a peer review of those analyses. And all of those studies have guided us in trying to develop a policy that will minimize the adverse impacts while we're helping hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. But it's not just our studies, I think, that should give us comfort as well. The United States Department of Labor just recently did a review of 62 previous economic analyses that have been done about minimum wage laws in this country, and they found overall, over the scope of those analyses, no discernible impact on job loss. No less an analyst than Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs did a study about this, and you know what they found? They found that in the 13 states that raised minimum wage, there was more job gain than in the states that did not raise the minimum wage. Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs. So, but for all those reasons, it's important that we make this policy methodically and carefully, and we have. We've looked at this, we've scrutinized it. As the President said, the city attorneys have looked at many other examples that we can build upon and work towards, and the ordinance that's before us today is a reflection of that important 9 months of work. Our work is not done with this vote today, and I know that a number of us have additional work that we want to do. We're expecting additional reports back. We're considering additional things. Some of the advocates have asked for additional changes to this ordinance, and we're studying those as well. For myself, I have the concern that Mr. Cedillo has expressed about transitional workers and youth and how we prevent harm to those programs. I also have some concerns about how this ordinance defines who an employee is, and I'm going to want to study and look at that more. But none of those things should detract us from moving forward today on this monumentally important policy, which is going to change the face of Los Angeles and change the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. And let me just put this into a little bit of a context, because when we were all growing up here, you could have a good life living in the suburbs with one income. With one hardworking parent, you could grow up in the valley and live in a place like I did and go to good schools and have a decent life. Now, it's pretty tough for one working parent to give a decent life to their children in this economy, because for the last 30 or 40 years, the middle class has been decimated. We have lost middle class jobs, we've lost opportunity, we've seen the wage disparity dramatically increase so that the wealthy are doing much, much better and the working poor are doing much, much worse. And that's not just an issue of money. Because when you have disparity like that, it leads to hopelessness. It leads to despair. It leads to disenfranchisement of people from their society and from their community. And here in Los Angeles, right now, we have more people living in poverty than the entire population of the city of Boston. That's what we are going to impact today. Because if we don't raise those people up, if we don't give those people opportunity to be able to participate in this society, to be able to give a better life for their children, we will not have a foundation for our economy. People who make the minimum wage don't invest their minimum wage salaries in the stock market. They spend it in our local businesses. So as we raise those wages, we're going to raise the level of economic activity. But we're also going to provide a better opportunity for parents to be able to provide an education for their children and to build the kind of society that all of us want Los Angeles to be. Not a society of division, not a society of despair, but a society where people are moving forward together for a better future. So I ask for your aye vote.
Mr. Labange.
Hey, Mr. President, I've been here a long time, 39 years, and over the years, people sometimes criticize you, and over the years, you come up with a line, but the line that I come up with, because I've never run a business, and I absolutely respect people who run a business. I remember my first paying job was at 1803 South Vermont Avenue, Tivoli Printing Company. I took the 95 bus, Mr. Cedillo, down every day. And then I took the 12 bus down Vermont from Silver Lake, but I took the 12 bus to come in through town, Joe Buscaino, to see this city. $1.25 an hour at a printing press, and I loved it. But that $1.25 an hour should have been gradually raised over the years. And over these years, though, when I do get criticized out there, I say to the people, I'm in the business of helping people, and I believe this helps people. And I think it's very important as we go forward to help people. Because Mr. Cedillo, I love the old 4th District. I love the old 4th District because it had a great Wilshire Boulevard all the way downtown, and you help real people who needed real help. And now you're the champion of that area of the city, which is very important. But also, I do not believe, and I know Mr. Hicks mentioned, there's no time to study anything today, but in the future we must study this always, what we can do better for all. And I don't want to see a fight between business and labor at all. We're all in this together. And Mr. Krikorian said some good points about how studies have been done and reached in other areas. And my brother Bobby, who never calls me about anything, I got 7 brothers. He called me and said, vote for this. And he makes a high wage, but he knows vote for this. He's a cameraman in Hollywood. So all this is important, but I do believe you should study some things in the importance. And also, our contract administration is basically a unit that inspects city contracts. A lot of the work is done in the public works area. They only have 5 positions allocated so far. I think they need 55 to be fair from San Pedro to Chatsworth. So as you go forward, Mr. Bonin, watch that. And Mr. Krikorian, you're the chair of the powerful Finance Committee, because there should be maybe a commission that oversees this. Small business, how to help. I always worry how Judy's dress store is going to do at 3rd and Vermont when I'm at the red light, Mitch Englander. I always worry. So there's some ways here. We're all in it together. We're all Angelinos. But today is the day that we move forward. And I also want to just put a last plug in for community colleges, for their community service classes and their educational classes, and the LA Unified occupational centers. All that needs to be bridged so people can get a job and move up with whatever skill they could get to get a better wage throughout. I'm very proud of my colleagues. It has come a long time. And I want to thank everyone. And the one vote, Ms. Flores, the city attorney, just want to say the one person spoke about outside conventions coming in and workers who work here, they have to get the pay. If they come from another state, they'd have to get the same rate as what a city. How do you handle that, Ms. Flores? You're the city attorney. You're writing the ordinance. Because the one representative, I don't know if she's still here, made that statement that there's complications. I'm for convention business. Convention business is good for all business.
Good morning, Valerie Flores, Senior Assistant City Attorney. Yes, under the current definition in the proposed ordinance, the location of the employer is not the relevant factor. The relevant factor for determining whether the minimum wage kicks in is where the employees work. And so even for people coming into town for conventions, under the current version of the ordinance, the employees of those businesses would be entitled to a minimum wage for those hours they work here in Los Angeles.
So if someone is at, just a technical question, because that I think may be complicated to enforce, but if you work in 91260, and I just threw that out because I think that's the only outside 90039.
Check your
If you
time.
come, I got it right now, but if you work at 90039, but you're from an outside Los Angeles zip code, you would have to be paid the Los Angeles wage?
Correct.
Okay, now I don't know how you enforce that or engage that or work at that, but I think that should be studied to look at because we're all in it together, the whole county. Thank you.
Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. I want to thank the Economic Development Committee for all of their hard work, and there were a few of us others who really took a critical look at this from the very beginning, but always in unanimous and full support for raising the minimum wage. The vote we're taking today will reflect that value that we all have for helping to lift people out of poverty. I have pockets of poverty in my district that rival any other neighborhood across the city of Los Angeles. And everything I do, everything I have done, and my vote will reflect support for helping working families. I've also felt from the very beginning that it should come from an enforcement piece. If LA is going to go it alone, we better make sure that we can enforce against wage theft for our working families. Now, having said that, I don't want to see a single job lost. And I know that no one on this panel wants that to happen. We know that we're entering uncharted territory. We know that there has been a 9-month process. And 2 weeks ago today, we took that history-making vote, and we will reaffirm that today. And we know that other reports will be coming in that will not impact that forward momentum of adopting a minimum wage ordinance for the city of Los Angeles. I was surprised a week ago when I found out that Raise the Wage LA also suddenly supported collective bargaining, those that would engage in collective bargaining with allowing what would be called a sub-minimum wage. Now, I know that that is a report that is going to be requested. It has been requested. We will vote for a report to see what a collective bargaining allowance in the ordinance will look like, along with a few other reports. I submitted a motion today also because, in all fairness, we have to really take a look at our small businesses. And I'm very gratified to you, Curran Price, Chair of Economic Development Committee, that you will hear my motion. And that calls also for a study to report back to the committee on an exemption for small businesses, 50 employees or less. I think, in all fairness, if we're going to look at a collective bargaining agreement's exemptions, we should also look at businesses that provide similar or the exact benefits to their employees. So I know this conversation will continue, but I also know that we will move forward very affirmatively and with 100% support for this minimum wage. But I also look forward to those reports that can further inform us on possibilities for helping to lift people out of poverty, protecting our employees, but also ensuring that we can handle and not incur job loss, quite frankly. And I want to say lastly that in my own district, the WorkSource Center commissioned a study, and this is a very, very important study, that talks about the micro businesses in the 13th District specifically. And that study revealed that the most heavily impacted businesses and employees will be the micro businesses. It's generally thought of as 5 employees or less. The overwhelming majority of these micro businesses, and these are the startups, these are the businesses that employ and grow. We want to foster that growth and not diminish that growth or harm it in any way. We also know that these micro businesses are going to be impacted more greatly with a significant increase in the minimum wage, and we also know that they are predominantly minority owned. So it is with a complete security that I move forward with this vote, but I also am eager to take a look at what comes back in these reports, notwithstanding moving forward for this minimum wage ordinance. So I'm happy to stand with my colleagues in full support for this important landmark legislation in the city of Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Farrell. President Herb Wesson.
Thank you, Mr. Labange, and I am supportive of what Mr. O'Farrell wants to do and would recommend that this be, without objection, sent to committee where Mr. Price has committed to hear it, and it will be in the conversation with the other report backs.
Without objection.
Thank you.
So ordered.
Thank you. I cannot believe, or I can believe, that we have finally gotten to this point, members. No. Let's just hold your applause. I cannot believe that we have gotten to this point. This may be one of the most important votes that we take in our entire political careers. I disagree with members who have got up and said that maybe we would affect the lives of 750,000 Angelenos. We will do that and more. The winds in this country do blow from the west to the east, and cities throughout the United States will watch what we do, and they will do the same. So the action that we're taking today will affect millions. Not 750,000, not a million, millions. I just want to, and I feel good about it, and I'm glad to hear that so many of you feel good about it. But I want to share something quickly with you that happened to me last week. Just like we all do, we have events we go to on a regular basis, and I went, Mr. Weezar, to one of our larger hotels, big event. I was being honored for some award I hope I deserved, but I was being honored. And I'm seated on the dais, and I noticed that there were these two waiters that just kept staring at me as they were trying to do their work as I sat on the dais. And I was really curious, why are they looking at me? Is my tie? I come off of the dais, and they rushed me. And they said, "Thank you. I want to take a picture. I want to take a picture with you. I want to take a picture with one of my heroes." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You and your friends on the city council have just or will change the entire life of my family. I live in a household, sir, where we have 3 working adults in a 1-bedroom place. The mother works minimum wage. He works at a little above minimum wage. His wife works at minimum wage. When we take this action, his mother's pay will rise, his wife's pay will rise, his pay is already scheduled to rise, and it will actually change. Maybe they don't have to work 2 jobs, 3. Maybe they can spend more time with their family. And I just want all of you to just kind of be still for a moment and recognize what you are doing. September, nobody thought we would be able to come together as a body and make this happen. I have always believed that this council was capable of great things. This is great. This will affect millions of people throughout the country. And this lets me know that come July 1, when we have our new members, with your help, I'm going to set out a bold agenda so that we will have the opportunity to do more big things that affect not just this city, but the United States of America, because we can do it and it's our responsibility to do it. Thank each and every one of you. Every member on this council contribute. Every member, one way or another. Everyone. You all have a hand in this. You all deserve a place in history for this vote. And I am so proud to be your colleague. Again, as all of you have said, I request for an aye vote. Let's make history. Let's make it right now. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Weston, thank you. Ms. Martinez. Ms. Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. President. And those of you who know me a little bit better, I tend not to want to speak too much, especially on an issue that I feel so personal about. I think I have to say a few words, although I feel like I said everything I had to say last week. But I want to say and put things in perspective for everyone, not only for our colleagues, but for people who are watching us on TV. This is not about romanticizing poverty. You know, single moms who are barely making ends meet to take care of their kids, children who go hungry to school every single day because there just isn't enough food at home. These folks don't get a reality show on television. These folks seldom ever get talked about in the media in terms of what they need to do to survive in this city. A lot of what we talk about is very real and very painful for the families that we represent. And what we're doing today, although a lot of us feel very good about, I want to talk about my mom earned in 1990 almost $14 an hour. In 1990. What we're talking about doing here today is making sure people earn $15 an hour 5 years from now, which puts us at 2020. That's almost 30 years. Making $15 an hour by 2020 brings us to $31,000 a year. That's what we're talking about doing today, Mr. President. Almost 30 years, my mother was making $14 an hour in 1990. We're talking about doing something that is taking a very long time to do, but this is about being courageous, and we can study this issue to death. And trust me, folks around this short horseshoe will probably want to study this to death. But the reality is that $15 an hour in 5 years brings us to $31,000 a year, and that's the reality for most of our families in this city. This is not about just doing the right thing, folks. This is about something that has taken this long to debate, and I have heard all perspectives on this issue, but the reality about our families that have to live in poverty, and we don't talk about them. People who are poor in this city don't get their fair share. And what we're talking about doing today is not only making history, but ensuring that the families of this great city finally have something to look forward to, and that all single moms who are out there struggling to bring food to their table and their children not go hungry to school, we're talking about doing the right thing for them. So colleagues, this is long overdue, and I've told this to you many, many times. We can study this to death, but today is about finding the courage, and be bold and be brave to make sure that our families in this city move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Mr. Price to close.
Mr. President, again, I just want to thank you for providing leadership as we've held this discussion. Appreciate the comments from my colleagues and the public. For me, this is the most important vote I have taken and probably will take. You know, I got into public service for the opportunity to make some changes to help improve people's lives. And we have a singular opportunity to do that with this motion today. I want to certainly applaud again my colleagues for their eloquent statements, their heartfelt concerns. But colleagues, I think it's time for us to make history, and it's time for us to raise the wage. Let's do it now. Thank you.
Thank you. And let's calm down. Mr. Clerk, there are no more speakers on the queue. I think we are prepared to vote on this item. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote. Technical.
13 ayes, 1 no.
13 ayes, 1 no. The measure passes. I get you. Okay. Now we still have a little business to do where it relates to this. Okay. Shh. If we could, based on the request of Mr. Price, send this forthwith. Oh, go ahead.
Mr. President, I'm sorry. Inasmuch as the vote was not unanimous, those ordinances will go over 1 week for second consideration.
Fine.
That brings us to next Wednesday, June 10.
That's fine. Okay, so now I guess we all got a little excited in the moment. But again, I see the city attorney's office here. Guys, God bless you. Thank you for everything that you've done. We really appreciate you. Okay, so now what, just so that you understand, because we had 1 no vote, we will vote again next week. There won't be a problem. So I just want you to know that officially next week this should be done. But thank all of you for your hard work, letting the city leaders know how you feel, taking times from your job to come and let us know how you feel. Thank you all. Give yourselves a round of applause. I'll let you get loud for a minute. Okay, let me get, we're going to go to item 1. Mr. Spindler, Mr. Herman, we're on item 1. Mr. Herman, if you want to speak, we're on item 1. Come on and speak. You're going to forfeit your chance. Come on up and speak. Come and speak. And, no, you're disrupting. You can come here and speak. Mr. Hunt, Mr. Herman, come on ahead.
When it comes to a lien on your properties, all you know that the city of Los Angeles is a contemptuous beast because it puts these liens against you. Hold up. Hold my time, please.
No, you go on. Go right ahead.
You have so much noise going on here, man.
No, you go
What's
ahead. You're disrupting. You're disrupting the meeting. Speak on the. Okay, now speak on the subject.
About the illegal process of liens, sir, and you're violating the rights of many Americans in the state of California. In the state of California, when you put the process of illegal enforcement of liens without due process by certified mail, contest all these liens. I demand and I object to the lien process today, and you will hold it for another day for all the people with liens to come in here and protest against the process. It was illegal and not challenged. I hold all these items on the liens in contempt of the law. Hold my time to 1 minute.
Okay, Mr. Hunt and Mr. Spindler.
Thank you again.
It's the great Mr. Michael Hunt up here talking about liens. Liens that should not be processed. Give the people what they want and stop doing liens. Thank you, Michael Hunt.
Mr. Spindler. I do not see him. Let's prepare. I do not see him. Let us prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Mr. City Attorney, you requested item 7. Let's take up item 7. On item 7, I have several cards. Is Ms. Ramirez? Antonio Ramirez. Mr. Previn is here, I thought I saw. Mr. Hunt is here. Come forward. Mr. Previn, please come forward. Followed by Mr. Hunt.
Sir, it is Eric Previn, a city resident from Council District 2. Thank you for that very, very moving series of ceremonies. Item 7 is of limited interest, but item 2, which apparently you pushed through earlier, is of high interest to me. It's the Prop K matter. Would there be any way that you could reconsider that item?
No.
And bring, well, I think it went off during your
No, you're
festival
on the
of
wrong
presentations.
topic. So
Well,
item 7, Mr. Previn.
No, I know, but I'm not interested in the massage therapy.
Thank you. This is the last
Right, but I
time.
am-
Well, then now your time is, you want to speak? Speak on this item. I'm not going to debate item 2. We're not on item 2.
Important city matter. Mr. O'Connell should put it on the agenda so that we can hit it because we missed it.
No, thank you. You're off. You're not on the agenda. So where do I have Michael Hunt? Followed by Antonio Ramirez. And I think Mr. Herman. Please, Mr. Hunt, your turn. Come on up. Come on up. It's your time. No, your sergeants, he's not speaking to the item. Help him find a seat. Come on, Mr. Hunt. Come on. And you're disrupting the meeting. We are on item 7. We are on item 7. Ms. Ramirez, we're on item 7.
Thank you very much. I was in the overflow room. Difficult to get through with so much mobs. Yes, massage therapy is vital for all human beings to promote blood circulation and organ functions throughout the body, and it restores the body's overall vitality. And the city attorney should enforce that these massage parlors give massage therapy to all our chopper pilots and all our law-abiding citizens and military. I think it's a wonderful thing that the city could at least do. But these businesses are making an honest day's living. They're not gangbanging. They're not violating any laws. They're simply running a business. And I think as a freedom of expression under the First Amendment, they should be entitled to run a massage parlor, whether we like it or not. I think everybody needs that. God knows the city attorneys need a butt rubs. And I think good people should use these massage parlors and get therapy. And hopefully they're private, they're clean, they're hygienically clean. And people should use these services. And more people would be able to breathe better, be healthier, and be happier. Why not? They do it in hospitals. You get all sorts of body rubs. Why not? There's nothing wrong with it. And I urge people to get body rubs at massage parlors, reputable ones, of course. I recommend that the city allow the pilots and military to get butt rubs and body rub downs at these massage parlors, and we, the taxpayers, will pay it. I will pay for a good body rub for my military and pilots. That includes you chopper pilots. You ain't innocent. So God bless America and the freedom of expression and these wonderful people who provide a wonderful service, whether it be in the hospital or in a corner. Absolutely. Yes, these businesses should be able to run without harassment. God bless America.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Item 7, followed by Mr. Herman.
Let's talk about the real issue here. And the real issue is about a job for everyone, whether they do massages whether they do physical therapy or whether they represent the United States and trying to make an honest living. Sometimes when you do that and you go into people's jobs and try and deregulate or regulate massage therapy or physical therapy of any, you mess with the people. And stop messing with the people's job. Give them free reign what they do, and I support anybody that's working. Thank you, Michael Hunt.
Mr. Herman.
Now, in regards to a massage therapy and establishments with new state law, don't you find that contradictory to providing jobs? Meager wages of $15 an hour when you can provide the answer to these people today for more than $50 an hour to meet the problem? But again, this is all about Mitch Englander, who's running for county supervisor, Miss Martinez, Nuri mode, that I want to establish public safety committees for additional consideration. Oh, I sound like Riley, but anyways. The city attorney and the city planning department, neither the city administrative officer nor the chief legislative analyst has completed a financial analysis or done a matrix regarding the therapist. Are they doing a clean, sanitary job? I hold my time to that 1 minute. Keep it in check.
I do not, I think that's the last card on item 7. Let us open the roll. I have no card with you on item 7. Oh, okay, but I have no card. Ms. Martinez?
President, thank you very much. Sir, do you want to sit down?
Please sit down. I have no card, Mr. Spindler, from you on item 7.
I just want to make it very clear in terms of what this motion is.
You're disrupting the meeting. I didn't call. Please sit down. You're disrupting the meeting continuously. Please take a seat.
I just feel the need to clarify what this motion is intended to do. As some of you know, we have a great deal of human trafficking issues in my district. And working with LAPD, we've seen firsthand that some of these gentlemen clubs and these massage parlors are just fronts for illegal activities in my district. There is a proliferation of massage parlors in and out of my district, and this motion is intended to work with LAPD, the city attorney, and the planning department to create land use regulations controls for massage parlors. That's what the intent of this motion is. And I understand some of our speakers had other things in mind, but this is a very big problem in my district. It attracts the element that we don't want to see in terms of pimps hanging out where Johns can go and solicit young girls to have sex with, and this is the kind of stuff that we don't want in the Council District 6, and when we're trying to work with LAPD to find other solutions. And so I want to thank Mr. Englander for supporting this motion, and that's the intent. I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, that's approved. Let's move to item 8. I have Mr. Herman and Mr. Hunt. Item 8.
Rights of the disabled, but I'm speaking to you about CD9, CD10, and CD10 regarding removing the following properties from REAP, otherwise known as rape. But I find it offensive that all you politicians cannot sit in your seat to push a button.
You're not on the subject. That's your last warning. You stay on the subject.
I'm talking about how can we vote on CD9, 4325 South Broadway, CD10, 11815 South Manhattan Place, and what about CD10, Manhattan Place again? The problem here is you cannot sacrifice the public to scrutiny by not sitting in your seat to
You're off the subject. Thank you very much, Mr. Hunt. He's off the subject, and Mr. City, remove him. You're disrupting the meeting. Yeah, in fact, you know what? Why don't we show him the way outside? You have been disrupting the entire process today. So, sergeants, help him find the corridor. Mr. Hunt? He's still disrupting the meeting, Mr. City Attorney. No, you are disrupting the meeting. Please leave. Mr. Hunt? No, you're continually disrupting the meeting.
Mr. President, perhaps Mr. Hunt should wait to speak until the disruption has subsided.
Okay, Mr. Hunt, one moment, please. Mr. Hunt, go right ahead.
I want a no vote on the rent escrow program. I think we need to define the meaning and do a little bit more research on it. So I'm going to vote no on that.
Thank you. You're again disrupting the meeting. Members, let's vote on this item. Mr. City Attorney, did you want to mention?
Just for the record, that last comment you made was directed at Mr. Herman and not Mr. Hunt.
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't directed at you, Mr. Hunt. Not at all. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That brings us where, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. President, that brings council to general public comment.
Okay, Antonio Ramirez, Mr. Previn, Mr. Hunt.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, good morning. Yes, there is wage theft and there is stolen money by these wetbacks and gangbangers in all the businesses and have harmed the citizens, the Los Angeles citizens. These scumbags work in city, county, and state and federal offices. They work in restaurants, retail industries, all schools, hotels, all transportation modes, car wash, food chains, maintenance, fast food restaurants, landscape gardeners, mechanics, constructions, airports, malls, hospitals, convalescent homes, LA ports. And they have posed a lot of danger, harm, and violence to law-abiding citizens. They have also helped us get MRSA, bed bugs, scabies, staph infections, meningitis, and all that horrible stuff. So you see, they have committed the atrocities. Now, if they were back home in their native country, how much money do you think they'd be making? They'd be making at least $80 a week. And yet they come to this wonderful country, God bless America, and they rob us and hold us hostage. Hell no. Deport them.
Thank you. Mr. Previn or Mr. Hunt, just go right ahead. And then Mr. Previn will follow you. Then Mr. Tenen. Go right ahead, sir.
Yes. My name is Michael Hunt. I've been retaliated against the city of Los Angeles. Retaliation. This is why I'm here. They stole my job. LAPD arrested me like about 30 times after they settled with me. And no, I didn't get $215,000 for the record. And no, yes, it was a misprint in LA Times. My attorney got $215,000 for the record. Chief Beck is arresting people for jobs, and that's why I'm here. This is why I'm here in the Klan outfit. Reverse discrimination. Reverse discrimination. The city of LA pissed on me after becoming a Ninth Circuit winner. They arrested me 20 times on the same count, 4215. I have a trial, a $100,000 trial for a $100 ticket. Now you guys see why I'm here in the Klan outfit.
Yes, it's.
Go right ahead.
Okay. It's Eric Previn, and we're by conference with the City Attorney's Office. Okay, sir, Proposition K raised $25 million per year for about 18 to 19 years, okay? I would ask you to reconsider item number 2, because this is a public hearing on the deployment of those funds for the next coming year, and though you were very, very efficient in the manner in which you shut the window during, right after Mayor Garcetti's lovely river presentation, but before the very moving, and I thought it was very moving, minimum wage presentation, you can't simply call my name and then move it along. And if you didn't have my card, there's a breakdown in the system that may not be your fault. The easy remedy, sir, is to put my card on the agenda for 2 minutes, and that's it. We're done. Then you can fulfill your obligation under the law. But to do anything less is really substandard, sir. And you really have to understand, sending Justin over here saying, oh, don't threaten me with a lawsuit is not an appropriate way to conduct. I'm not threatening anyone with a lawsuit. I just want to weigh in on my Prop K funding. Why? I'll be very specific. What are you doing? Okay. Are you going to put number 2 on the agenda? Will you put number 2 on the roll?
Your time is up, Sergeants.
So that's
he is again disrupting the meeting. Okay, Chuck Tenen. Haven't seen you for a while, Mr. Tenen, followed by Sid.
Chuck Tenen, this is to the Honorable Mayor Eric Garcetti, City of Los Angeles, and to our City Council members. Once upon a time, every resident in the City of Los Angeles could access cable channel 35, our city channel. Today, the majority, 80%, doesn't have access to cable channel 35, our city channel, unless you pay for it subscribing to Time Warner. If Mayor Eric Garcetti and the City Council cared, they would surely speak up in support of public access with a feel for the human condition that includes the elderly, disabled, handicapped, and low income. Compromise, does that mean the people have to suffer another year? City Council, please give us back our city channel 35. We should not have to pay to watch our city government in action. Perhaps Charter Communications, $55 billion deal, they'll give it back to the people as a gesture of goodwill.
Sid, come on forward. Followed by, do we have a Miguel? I think it's like Delium Miguel? Miguel. Well, go ahead, Sid.
Good morning. Regarding the Willits case that came to a resolution and came to an agreement for $1.4 billion, I just wanted to know in the future if this council somehow can either let us know that the project that I've been working on for over 2 years, as you know, that involves all these elements, widening of sidewalks, making handicap accessibility, outside dining, and public right-of-way, which fall all in that ramifications. But before almost 2 years, this council has directed me to speak directly to the District 14, which didn't bear any fruits till today. I wonder if this settlement that came in under the Willits standard, would it now become the entire council issue if I need to address my project, or I still have to go through District 14 for any help or for any approvals or any accommodations to get this project finally over? In the future, if this council can show me the way, I would be very appreciative.
Thank you very much. So now I'm looking for a Miguel Pantaleon. No Miguel, Mr. Spindler.
Had cards on the items, physically blocked from coming in while you raised the minimum wage without allowing people to speak on it. But that's the way you want to run these meetings. You just want to run these meetings like they used to do in East Germany. I know something about the Stasi and how they operate. You got thug police officers, you got a thug that runs this meeting, and you got the puppets on each side that know they're doing the wrong thing, but they're going to do it anyway because that's what they're paid for. You're paid not to represent the people. You're paid to represent the special interests, and that's why you're doing this. That's why you're doing this. And I say to all businesses, leave. Leave this city so they don't get your tax money. It's the only way. Starve these bastards so they don't get the money. If they don't get the money, you shut them down. And that's the only answer.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes general public comment. Any further business before this council, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. President, council has motions for posting and referral.
They are posted and referred.
The desk is clear.
Announcements, members. Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today's Public Works meeting will be held an hour earlier, so it will be held at 1 o'clock today, not 2. 1 o'clock Public Works today. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Any other announcements? Then let us rise for adjourning motions. If all in the council chambers would please rise. Rise so that we can show our respect. So I'm looking to my right side, Mr. O'Farrell's side. I don't see any. I'm looking to my left, Mr. Englander's side, adjourning motions. I don't see any. Members, this meeting is adjourned.